Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Rick and I'm back here with week 3 of my May reviews. About 15 movies to talk about, and we're going to dive right in, guys. So the first thing we watched was on HBO Now, and that was Bridge to Terabithia. Bridget and I sat and watched it. RJ said he didn't really have interest in this movie. So it's a movie I'd never seen. The ending, or part of the ending, had been spoiled for me from a Watch Mojo list, so I did know that, which part of me is kind of glad I knew it because I think it really would have made me upset, like even more so than it did knowing it was coming. So it's a story about a middle school boy played by a young Josh Hutcherson. He's being bullied at school. He lives at home with his 4 sisters, his mom and his dad. They're in a financial struggle. They live in a fairly small house. He shares a room with one of his younger sisters that he has a good relationship with. The bullying is caused by his financial struggles. A lot of kids pick on him because he doesn't have money. A new girl moves in right next door who's played by Anna Sophia Robb and helps him like open up his creativity side, his imagination. But the film's incredibly well done. It's very heartwarming, but it's also incredibly heartbreaking. Like I said, something happens in this movie that was ruined for me beforehand, and I still got teary-eyed after it happened, knowing it was going to happen, because they do such a good job building up the story, and then like I said, something just happens and it's like, oh, wow. But I give it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, it really pulls at the heartstrings, but it's also very well done. Zooey Deschanel is a teacher in the movie, which is a fun bonus. Next up is a movie that I was pretty excited to check out. One I've heard about a lot. One that Bridget was really excited to get. When I found out Deep Discount was having the olive sale, I had to grab it, and that was Thrashin', starring a young Josh Brolin. This movie is from 1986, so quite a bit of years before he was Thanos. So it's about Josh Brolin's character who wants to go to LA to become a professional skateboarder. This movie was definitely a massive influence on a movie I watched all the time as a kid. A movie we've talked about on this channel before, Airborne, which stars Jack Black and a young Seth Green. Basically, it feels like Airborne made this movie but did it with rollerblading instead of skateboarding. It was also fun to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers perform at like a underground party in this movie. They had only been a band for like 2 years when this came out. There are a bunch of professional skateboarders in this movie. People from Lords of Dogtown, like the real people, not the actors. Tony Hawk is in this movie in a skate scene as well. And, it's an 80s cheese movie, but it was a fun watch, and I definitely enjoyed this. It's definitely staying on the shelf. I give it a 3 out of 5, but I thought it was a fun movie. I really actually liked watching this. A pleasant surprise. Not that I was thinking it would be bad. But next up, what did I watch? It was Bloodshot, which we checked out on Vudu by way of the Regal movie program. I got a free digital code for it, so we checked it out on Vudu, and I thought the movie was exactly what I thought it was going to be. How's that? It was a PG-13 action movie, which had me worried a little. Vin Diesel is playing like a guy who's a soldier. They basically create him so that he can heal himself. He has superhuman power a bit, and he's a bit of a robot. So that fits perfectly for Vin Diesel, because Vin Diesel is not a great actor. Let's be honest. So Lamorne Morris was the comic relief. He was in New Girl back in the day, but I wish he was in the movie more. He didn't show up till like halfway through the movie, and I felt like his comic relief was needed. There was a pretty cool scene in a tunnel. It was all done in red light, and obviously I think that scene was done in red light because of the amount of gore that would have been in the scene. But the fact that the scene's all in red, then you don't really see the bloodshed as much. So PG-13 rating with the bloodshed. If that scene was in like regular light, the movie would have had to been rated R, or they would have had to cut it up big time. So like I said, the movie was decent. exactly what I expected it to be. I'm glad I didn't buy it, but it was worth a watch. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Not horrible, not great, just right in the middle, mediocre. That's and then next up, we watched Vivarium, which there's a review on my channel for. This was sent over to me from Lionsgate to review digitally, which we checked out on Vudu. So the movie, like I said, it's a very weird. People have compared it to like a Twilight Zone film. I was really excited to see Jesse Eisenberg and Imogene work together, work together, because they were great in The Art of Self-Defense. This movie just didn't do it for me. I had a lot of issues with the movie. It was like a dark comedy from the trailer, and that wasn't what the movie panned out to be. The ending is very unsatisfying. I give it a 2 out of 5. If you want to hear more of my extended thoughts, check out my review video for it, but not something I loved. And then there was a very surprising first time watch. I'm going to try to figure out how to show it to you guys without it being, there we go, super frustrating. A movie I had never seen before. Once again, it's been on the watch list for a long time, and that is The Birds, which is part of my Hitchcock Essential set. I had never seen The Birds before, and Alfred Hitchcock is one of my favorite directors of all time. I don't think there's been a movie of his I've watched and was disappointed by. This movie does such a great job setting up the characters and the suspense. Like, the first hour and 15 minutes is just like building characters, and it's not boring. It's amazing. Like, I don't see movies like this anymore. Like, the way he built the characters. There's an uneasy feeling here and there early on, but like I said, nothing like crazy. And then, weird things start happening, and the birds start coming after the humans, and chaos ensues, but it is very watchable, very good. Like I said, I had never seen it. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was fantastic. A lot of people on Instagram were asking me what else is in the set. So it is The Birds, Psycho, North by Northwest, which I have to watch. I've never seen. Ugh, I know, it's a classic. Vertigo and Rear Window. Rear Window is probably my favorite Hitchcock movie of all time. But yeah, I need to watch North by Northwest. I know, I've never seen it. People are judging. I will watch it at some point, I promise. Like I said, 4.5 out of 5. Next up, a movie we had never heard of before that caught our eye because it starred a young Michael J. Fox, and the description didn't seem very Michael J. Fox-esque for a film. And that is Bright Lights, Big City. The thumbnail, like I said, caught my eye and added it to the watch list. It starred him, Kiefer Sutherland, Phoebe Cates. So I was in, but it was about his drug-fueled life. And I was like, it just doesn't seem right for Michael J. Fox. Like, he was in a lot of like PG-13 movies. You know, here and there he was in like an R-rated thing like The Hard Way, but not all the time. But this movie, like, I don't know, it just meandered horribly to me. It was very boring. It kind of shows how Michael J. Fox's character has like experienced some tough stuff, you know, had bad relationships, and like what caused him to start using drugs in the first place. But yeah, I honestly lost interest halfway through. Was on my phone messing around while the movie was on. I struggled to get to the end. I give it a 1 out of 5. Not one I'd recommend. Didn't do it for me. Next up, we checked out The Dirt on Netflix, which, if you're not aware, The Dirt is about Motley Crue, a music biopic. So in the same vein as Rocketman, Bohemian Rhapsody, but this one felt more like what a music biopic should have been. Like, I felt Rocketman did a good job. Bohemian Rhapsody watered down Freddie Mercury's life too much. Like, that should have been an R-rated movie, not PG-13. Like, they kind of glossed over certain things in Freddie Mercury's life. This doesn't gloss over stuff. It has drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Some violence. Very well done. Very enjoyable. A very wild ride. Better than Bohemian Rhapsody for me. Not quite as good as Rocketman, but still a really good, well-done movie. Definitely one of the better Netflix originals I've watched. This movie won't be for everyone. Like I said, it is very sex, drugs, and rock and roll oriented. it is not taken lightly, people. So if you get offended, don't watch the movie. It starts off in extreme fashion and doesn't let up after that. It's not shied away from. It is very on screen. And Pete Davidson shows up as the record exec, like representative, or the record label representative, and is pretty funny. Him and Machine Gun Kelly, who plays Tommy Lee, are really good friends in real life. And Pete Davidson was good in the movie. Like, once again, when Pete Davidson's been acting, Big Time Adolescence, this, really excited for The King of Staten Island. He's been very good at what he does. And I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought the movie was incredibly watchable and definitely recommend it highly. Next up, we checked out Seabird on Amazon Prime, which was a movie that came out last year but didn't get a very wide release anywhere near us. The trailer looked very intriguing. It had Kristen Stewart as the lead, plays Jean Seabird, who is an actress who's really big over in France. She's a social activist and comes to America from France. She ends up having an affair with a civil rights leader. The FBI is trying to crack down on the civil rights movement and the activist that's played by Anthony Mackie. And it's a well done movie. It tells a very interesting story. I did not know much about Jean Seabird at all. But it was good. It was a very watchable movie. It's a one-time watch for me. I give it a 3 out of 5. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said, it's on Amazon Prime for free. I don't know if it ever got a physical release, honestly. A lot of stuff that goes on Amazon Prime that's an Amazon film doesn't get a physical release. Stuff like Honey Boy, Brittany Runs a Marathon, Late Night, no physical releases. You can only watch them on Amazon Prime, which kind of is a bummer, especially as a physical media guy, but it is what it is. Like I said, I give it a 3 out of 5. I'd recommend checking it out. Next up, I watched this for a podcast that's either going to be coming out or has come out when this video gets released. I'll put a link to the podcast's webpage. Like I said, we had like an hour plus conversation about this film. Yes, we went off topic a little because this movie's tough to talk about for an hour, especially with its like 80-minute runtime. But that is Rambo, Last Blood, Home Stallone. That's what I like to call it. Home Stallone. Or Stallone Alone. Or Home Stallone. Or Macaulay Stallone. This movie is a very fun watch. Very R-rated Home Alone to me. But also mixed with like a bit of a revenge film. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really fun. Not a movie that you expect to win Oscars, but a movie you expect Rambo to kill guys. And like I said, it's a revenge story. It takes on sex trafficking in the film as well. I'm not going to get too much into it. It's a rewatch for me. I did see this in theaters. I give it a 3 out of 5. Like I said, it's a fun watch if you like Rambo movies. The runtime says 89 minutes, but the movie ends at like 78 minutes, and then there's a little montage and then like 7 or 8 minutes of credits. So it's a very short watch. Like I said, a very violent R-rated movie, very Home Alone-esque in my opinion. But check this one out, and like I said, check out the podcast, guys. It is coming soon. I'll put a link. If the podcast comes out before this video comes out, I'll put a link down below. If not, I'll just put a link to the page where the podcast will be on. So Rambo, Last Blood, 3 out of 5. Next up, guys, this doesn't happen often. We got a 5-star movie that I had never seen, and that is A Time to Kill. That's right, a 5-star review. Doesn't happen often on the channel, guys. I don't throw out 5s very often. I can't believe I waited so long to watch this movie. The cast in this is absolutely insane. Sandra Bullock, Matthew McConaughey, Samuel L. Jackson, Kiefer Sutherland, Donald Sutherland, Kevin Spacey. I love courtroom dramas, so like right away I'm on board. But then the cast, and just such a good movie. The movie starts with a very heavy scene. It does not let up for its 2.5-hour runtime. So well done, so well acted in. Matthew McConaughey, fantastic in the lead role. Jake Brigance is his character. Just such a good movie. This movie has a very quotable line that I'm familiar with before watching it. Samuel L. Jackson utters it when he is on the stand in court. But the quote that I really took away from this, and the one that really sticks with me and is very fitting in today's climate, is uttered by Matthew McConaughey, where he says, "Now imagine she's white." I got goosebumps when he said it. Was not expecting it after like a 6-minute monologue. It felt like very powerful stuff. The movie was awesome. 5 out of 5. A Time to Kill. Cannot recommend it highly enough, guys. You've all probably seen it, but if not, go check it out. It's a heavy watch, but it's a good watch. Trust me. What is next? I'm going to need to get a drink after this video if I'm going to keep recording. We got 5 more to talk about, guys. Next up is, it was a Sandra Bullock double feature that day. The Net on DVD, which I had never seen before. A movie Bridget watched a lot back in the day, she said. So this movie is actually still pretty relevant, and that's crazy considering it came out 25 years ago. Basically, it's about identity theft online and what you put on the computer and what people have access to. I think it probably seemed very futuristic and crazy in 95, but now in 2020 it seems very realistic and doable. Some of this stuff's a bit over the top in the movie, but it feels like it could really happen. I actually really enjoyed it. Thought it was very well done. Sandra Bullock was great in this movie. I give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, I had never seen it up until this point, but really enjoyed it. It was a solid film for sure. Next up, we had another courtroom drama, and that was Fracture, starring Anthony Hopkins and my boy Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's like a hotshot lawyer. He's going to work for a fancy law firm, even though he was, he works for the DA, right? Yeah, he's a prosecutor for the DA, Ryan Gosling. And Anthony Hopkins, the movie starts out, his wife's having an affair, and he basically murders his wife and then decides he wants to go to trial and he's going to be his own lawyer. Craziness ensues, a very fun ride. Anthony Hopkins is toying with Ryan Gosling throughout the film. Great performances throughout. There are some weak points and some drag in the second act, which hurt the movie a little. But overall, I mean, I still gave the movie a 4 out of 5, but this probably could have been close to a 5-star, probably 4.5. But the second act, like I said, had a little drag. I give it a 4 out of 5. Highly recommend Fracture if you haven't seen it. Like I said, courtroom drama, great performances from Anthony Hopkins. Is it Hopkins? Yeah, Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling. Next up, we watched The Goldfinch on Amazon Prime, which was a movie we wanted to see in theaters, but then it started getting really just meh reviews, and there was so much other stuff out in theaters when it was playing, so we kind of just put it off. And the cast was insane in the movie. Of course, now I don't have anybody written down. Ansel Elgort is the lead, basically, in the movie. There's lots of time jumping in the film. It's based on a best-selling novel. The trailer was very well done. That's what had gotten me excited to see the movie and still wanted me to check it out even after a lot of the reviews I had read. It came out on Amazon Prime recently, had a 150-minute runtime, and did not need that runtime. It needed a better editing job. Like I said, it was all over the place. A lot of stuff that was kept in the movie just felt unnecessary to the movie. Like, why is this still in the movie? What is it really doing in the film? There are weird casting choices in the movie. Like, Finn Wolfhard plays Boris when the main character is younger. And then there's a time jump when Ansel Elgort is older and playing the character. And then Boris is in the movie again. And, like, he's short, but Finn Wolfhard's a tall kid. So it was like he shrunk and didn't grow. it was very weird casting. Plus, he's not Russian, and then they have an actual Russian actor play Boris as he's older. So it was very choppy. I'm guessing it probably stayed true to a book, and it was probably more well done in a book because of the length of the book. And I feel like the filmmaker was trying to shove as much of the book in the movie, but it didn't need to be in there, and it didn't need to be in there in the way he put it. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. It was still watchable, but there were definitely points where I was like, let's speed this up, guys. Let's get to the climax. Next up was a first time watch for me. Romy, I always say her name wrong. Romy Michele. We're going with Romy. Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Like I said, first time watch for me. The only thing I remember about this movie is it had a really great soundtrack that my mom and sister listened to when I was younger. Like I said, had never seen it, which is crazy because I try to watch most comedies that come out, but for some reason I just never sat down to watch this. And this movie was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Very quotable film for sure. Obviously, I've only seen it once, so I can't like rip off quotes. Post-its are important, I can tell you that. I will say the way Mira Sorvino talks in this film was a bit annoying at times for me as Romy. She almost talks like, if you guys watch SNL, the Californians character, which she moves to California, but she's not from California. She's from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. So it just felt weird to me, but she kind of adapts that way of talking after they move. Oh, excuse me. Oh, man. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, very fun movie. Really enjoyed it. That's just a minor complaint. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. And we definitely need to upgrade this DVD because this doesn't look very good on DVD. It needs a Blu-ray. So, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. And then last but not least, for the third week, is Watchmen, the director's cut. Not V for Vendetta or Constantine. I've seen those, but a first-time watch for both Bridget and myself of Watchmen. And so I put the movie off for a very long time because of the runtime of the movie. It has a 3-hour runtime. It's very, like, you just have to have time. Like, I'm not going to watch a 3-hour movie at 8 o'clock at night after a day of work. So added this to the hat because we have more time. And I will say about an hour into the movie, I nodded off for about 20 minutes. Bridget kind of filled me in on what I missed. I didn't miss much from what I heard. But, man, yeah, I just had a lot of issues with the pacing of the movie. Not a lot of like standout scenes. Good performances in it, not great performances, but not a movie I probably would sit and watch again, ever, honestly. I don't even have much more to say about it. It was just okay. I give it a 2 out of 5. It just didn't do it for me personally, but I know some people really enjoy the movie. It didn't do it for me, guys. So that's it, guys, for this week. Thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you guys don't already. It is appreciated. Also, leave comments down below, guys. Let me know what you thought of this stuff that I watched. Let me know your opinions. I will try to get back to as many people as possible. Also, check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blu-ray.com profile, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch, my Amazon wishlist, a link where you can buy Down the Movie t-shirts from the Cinema Sickness store on Spreadshirt, and my email address and P.O. Box, all down below. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, who's down to movie?